Hello, good morning or good afternoon, whatever the time it is in your day right now. My name is Salma Chavez.
I'm Brittany Jimenez.
And I'm Jalissa Olvera.
We are juniors and we attend to the school Houston Academy for International Studies in Houston, Texas. And the following podcasts we are going to talk about and the ones we're going to do in the future are going to be about the purpose of education.
Yay! Salma, what is the purpose of education?
According to the dictionary, education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instructions, especially at a school or a university.
That's really interesting. Now, do you think that that's what schools do here in America?
Personally, I think it's what they should do, but it's not what they do it, but it varies in many ways. And it can go either good or bad.
Expand on that.
Okay, so basically, our education system in the United States is very limited, I would say, because we don't really focus on the stuff we want to focus in the future. We learn a little bit of everything, and sometimes even things that we're not supposed to be, that aren't going to be useful in the future for us. And
Geometry.
yeah. Like, what am I going to need algebra for? What am I going to need pre-calc for? Or like she said, geometry. It's not really that necessary. It will help you if you choose a specific path that involves math. But if I'm not going to choose anything related to math, why do I need to learn it? Like, I don't need those bad grades I have.
So you think that the purpose of education is to teach you skills that you'll need in life?
Yes.
That's really interesting because I feel that the purpose of education is also to teach you skills that you'll need in real life. I feel that education or schools here in America often prioritize testing or like teaching you things that you're going to be tested on instead of teaching you skills that you'll learn in real life. While schools often do teach you important skills, they don't really communicate that with you, how you're saying that geometry isn't important. Well, sitting in a classroom learning geometry, it's teaching you how to like think logically or how to like work through equations, right? And that's teaching you how to solve problems in like the real world, right? But they don't tell us that. They just tell us, here, do all these equations. And you're like, what do you need that for? So I feel that there should be more communication between the teachers and the students. Brittany, what do you feel the purpose of education is?
For me personally, I feel like education, it is important because it teaches like how to communicate and stuff. Like we have friends and we have our own little group and we like become social in school, which is an important skill later in life because you will need to like socialize with other people in like your work area and stuff. And it does teach us how to read and write, but even though it does teach us a handful of like skills, there is a lot of like bad or like not very good aspects about education. Like education, it only teaches on teaching students materials to memorize, and then soon after they memorize like those type of materials, they like soon afterwards test the students on those type of materials, and the students like only like memorize the materials, and then after the test they probably just forget it afterwards until they have finals.
So like they memorize it but they don't learn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that all?
Well, I was just saying that because of this, like, they don't focus on what they should teach students. Like, I feel like they should bring out the creativity out of students instead of just like keeping it enclosed and letting them memorize equations and all of these things. I feel like they should like make their creativity grow more. Like, if someone's really interested into science or something, like, and wants to become a scientist, I feel like they should have like more classes with science related rather than having like more like well, yeah, reading and math is important, but to a certain extent, not to like have like pre-cal, AP pre-cal or whatever, college algebra. Like, yeah, those are important, but it isn't important for me because I don't want to go into a career with math, so they're not important to me.
I see both of your points. Like Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And it is a very powerful weapon because it helps us develop those skills that we need to communicate and interact with other people in, like, at a party, at work, at any other social event. And then it could also help us when we're grocery shopping. Let's say there's like this really expensive item, it's like a random number, $628, and the percentage off, it's on sale and it has 68% off, and we need to do all that math to know how much it's going to cost, and it does help us, but that goes to the same thing that we do need to learn it, but to a certain extent, like Brittany said, because we learn percentages in middle school?
Algebra 1, right?
Yeah, around
Middle school. Now, like, in high school, we're taking all of these courses, like college algebra. When am I going to need it? And, well, yeah, it does help us become more successful, but I feel like education isn't only about school and colleges and grades. I feel like education also comes through experiences that don't need to involve school. So like it can come in many different ways.
That's really interesting. School has now become a really big competition of who's getting into better colleges, who has the highest grades, who's getting better GPAs, who's getting the scholarship.
Yes! Oh my god. Personally, I see it so much in this school. So much.
I mean, yeah, since we are an early college magnet school, our school's very competitive.
Yes.
Very.
I've heard a lot of times, let's say in classrooms or in the bus, I wonder who has the lowest GPA of all our junior class.
It's me.
And, like, I'm just like, what? Like, there's a lot of smart people in our grade. A lot. And they're all fighting for that to be in that top 10%. I feel like nowadays, like you said, it's more of a competition. Like, they just worry about their grades. They just worry about getting their work done. And they don't really care about learning it.
Yeah.
They just want that 100. They want that A. They want that A.
It's become more about the numbers than it is about the learning.
Yes.
Because, like, you just, how, I think it was you who was saying it earlier, how you're just memorizing things, you're not really learning. Because you're being tested on it. So, like, after you learn something, the next class, you're being tested on it. It doesn't really give you time for it to, like, sink in. It doesn't give you time to, like, learn it properly. Like, being able to see it in a real life scenario. So you don't really wrap your mind around it completely. You just, I don't know, you don't really learn it. You just memorize what you gotta do. You get tested on it. You get that 100. You walk out with the grade, but do you walk out with the brain?
I see your point. It also depends on the teacher, I feel like, because throughout my school years, personally, in high school, last year I had a great teacher. I don't know if you can agree, but I had a great English teacher.
Oh.
Like, I love the way he made our creativity grow, and he made us, we saw a lot of perspectives in that classroom. We really got to get outside of our comfort zone and think outside the box. He made us see things on a different way, and it was like in every topic, like either poetry, if you like poetry, or if you like fiction or not fiction. It was like very wide. He made us
learn without even knowing that we were learning.
Yes, he involved us in it a lot. But unlike other teachers, they just lecture you. It also depends who is lecturing you, because last year I had a teacher that just lectured me all the time, but he did not really involve, and he didn't involve with the classroom, and we didn't understand much. But this year I have another teacher that lectures us all the time, but he makes it interesting. He adds jokes there, and he makes us see the importance of it. And we have discussions like each 2 weeks around, and we get to see other people's point of view and how they interpret it and how they feel about it, and we ask questions, and our knowledge in it develops.
And last year, my our history teacher was also like that. Like, she would lecture us, but there's something about the way that she taught that didn't really seem like a lecture. Like, she would involve activities in it, and I don't know, there's just something that the teacher has that just makes everything click. Right? It was just so much fun. And how I said earlier, we were learning. It didn't even feel like we were learning.
So yeah, but I feel like the purpose of education, like I said earlier, doesn't just involve school, like colleges, grades. It also has to do a lot with what we learn outside of school. Because for example, let's say I'm going to put myself as an example. I am a very shy person that doesn't really like to is not really outgoing, but I have like a master's degree or like a very high degree in a certain career. But someone else that may not have as high of education, they probably just have an associate's degree, but they are very outgoing, they're a very persuasive person, they are very enjoyable, they
communicate.
Yes, they communicate, and they do their job well. It doesn't matter that I have more education than that person, because at the end of the day, if I'm shy and all quiet and don't really talk, and they're like woo happy and all that and like they talk, they interact, they let's say if it's a doctor, they try to understand the patient, or if they do business, they convince the person to buy a house, I guess. It doesn't matter, because they will always choose the person with a better personality over someone who has a better education, because it contributes more to the business, to the patients, to the people.
Right.
Yeah.
And like learning how to be social and how to communicate well and how to do those things. All those are things that you could learn in school. Often it's something that you learn from,
your parents. I feel like your parents, like,
just like from the people around you.
Yes.
And not, okay, how do I say this? You can't learn that in a classroom. You have to learn that with interacting with people. And oftentimes you don't really interact with your classmates in classes. most of the time your teachers are telling you to be quiet and pay attention, so you're not really talking to the people that are next to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you learn stuff like that during like lunch or recess.
Yeah.
You know? Somebody take it away.
I feel like doing projects, activities, like you said, like your teacher last year, really helps us develop those things. But if they limit that and they just make us do work all the time,
be quiet. Worksheets.
Yeah, be quiet. We won't really get that opportunity to develop those skills.
I agree, because in my middle school, our teachers always was like, oh, be quiet. We never really did a lot of group projects together, so I wasn't able to, like, socialize a lot with my classmates. I only stayed in, like, my own single group of, like, 3 friends. Meanwhile, in elementary, they did a lot of group projects in which I became super social in elementary school. And in middle school, I started becoming, like, basically an introvert and like antisocial, I guess. And then here in high school it was super different, because like here you do lots of group projects with lots of people, so I started like becoming like more like, I guess, like an extrovert, but not really.
More like talkative, maybe.
Yeah, I became more social a bit more, which I'm actually really grateful for, because I know I need to, like, I know I had to become more social during middle school, because I was super shy in middle school. When I came here to highs, I was still very antisocial and couldn't make any friends. But then I started becoming more friends with more people, and now I have more friends. And I feel like education should not limit you to, like, to always be quiet and stuff, because, like, if you do group projects and, like, you know, if they make you talk with more people, you can, like, develop more skills that you would need in the future. Yeah,
I agree with that. Coming to this high school, personally, it's an international school. There's a lot, and since it's in like Midtown, in the center of Houston, there are people that come from Humble, there are people who come from Katy, there are people from North Side, South Side, West Side, East Side. I feel like having a lot of cultures and races really makes you see a lot of other point of views, and it opens your mind to so many things. Like MUN, for example, the MUN conferences, I think that's what they're called. When you go to them, they make you see a lot of points of view, a lot of ideas other people develop. And highs is like, as a whole school, I feel like they're like that shy extrovert. Like, a lot of people here are very outgoing and loud and express themselves a lot, and it makes but for me, example, it makes, like, me, who I don't really talk a lot, it makes me, like,
want to talk
and, like, see how other people are. Like, they don't care what race you are, what gender you are. They, like, want to interact with you. Yeah.
I feel that highs did teach us how to become more social and stuff, but I still feel like taking too many classes is just way too much for me. As a junior, I feel like geometry isn't really important for me.
But it is. I already stated that. I already said it's important.
Well, for me it's not, because I don't really feel, I don't feel like I'm not going to go into, like, a math type of field in the future, so I think it should be, we should get, like, more creative kind of,
I feel
classes.
The problem with geometry isn't really more the subject or what we're learning. It's more how it's being taught, because lecturing isn't really going to stick into our heads. You know, maybe more project type of things, or more problems that would put it into like real life scenarios. Thank you for joining us with this first episode. I'm Julissa Olvera.
I'm Salma Chavez.
I'm Brittany Jimenez.